Originally known for their alien-looking speakers, GravaStar has branched out into other avenues, and one of their uniquely crafted products is this, the Mercury K1 mechanical board. Aside from the extraterrestrial look, does the K1 provide anything else? I'm Alex from Subnautics. Let's take a look at it. So immediately out of the box, you can tell that the K1 it looks like a well-built solid keyboard. Made from an aluminum alloy exoskeleton frame, there's a certain heft behind the board. The backplate is the only piece that you can see that's made from plastic, and it does feel a little bit different and out of place compared to the rest of the board. However, I will give them credit because there's this really nice design. It looks like a spacecraft exhaust pipe and cooling duct design there. Extremely detailed piece, even though you won't see it a majority of the time. Nonetheless, I appreciate the individuality behind the look. The top side, which you do spend most of the time looking at, is very interesting to see, to say the least. The webbed through holes along the frame of the board is accented by these RGB diffused strips, and it looks like an alien spacecraft. It just looks cool. The gradient white version of this board that we were sent looks stunningly out of this world. The matte finish keeps this from getting fingerprints on it, so very clean looking board. And before we get too deep, I wanted to also say GravaStar did send us a copy of the Mercury K1 to review, but they are not going to be watching this or influencing anything we're saying. Everything is based on my time reviewing this product. So back to the board, the touch and the feel carries over to the PBT keycaps. They have a gradient scheme across the board from like white to darkish gray. The symbology is also side engraved facing the user, so when propped up with the kickstand, it's perfectly lined up to our eyes. So it wouldn't be an alien themed product or, a gaming keyboard without RGB lights, and since the symbology once again is facing us side engraved, it only makes sense that the RGB lights are south-facing, and that's exactly what we have here. The illumination across the layout is gorgeous and unified, and it looks great because the lettering is perfectly lit in accordance to how they're etched on the location of the keycap. I wish more keyboard makers would use this combination of south-facing RGB switches and side-printed keycaps. I also think the proportions of this 75% keyboard are distributed well across the canvas. There's a pressable volume roller at the top right, and then there's delete, page up, page down. So basically most of the functions you need is on here. The volume toggle, it's the only piece of like this plastic build. It's a polished piece of plastic, but it does feel different from the rest of the board. And then sitting below all those keys is the GravaStar logo highlighted by rotating RGB colors. It's an aesthetic touch instead of a functional one, but I do find it a little bit tacky and over excessive, doesn't really do much here. And also the GravaStar logo is tramp stamped right in the center of there. It does look a bit stale and out of place for that GravaStar logo, and it just doesn't look great on an otherwise really good looking clean board. So GravaStar uses a Cal linear switch to complete this gaming setup. It's a really satisfying talk sound behind the keystrokes. When I type, it's really smooth. I type pretty cleanly here, and with 79 total keys, there's slightly more than the bare necessities for a functioning board. GravaStar says the Mercury K1 strikes for 40 grams of actuation force and a total travel of 3.5 millimeters. There's also plenty of foam dampening on the PC plate, 6 layers to be exact, and it's hot swappable, supporting 3 and 5 pin mechanical switches. Overall, I enjoyed the somewhat muted yet pronounced sound that came out of the Mercury K1. So in terms of connectivity, we have the basic 3 Bluetooth 2.4 GHz wireless USB connection, and of course the USB-C port which you plug in, and it also charges through that port there. Like many boards out there, we also have the Windows and Mac toggle at the top of the frame. Everything works really well, haven't had any latency issues that I could see. And battery life, I've had a good amount of time with this, about 3 to 4 weeks off one charge, good amount of time for a board to be untethered. So if you're looking for a board that just looks weird and different and also has some sort of a gaming vibe behind it, this one's a great one to look at. The price tag is pretty good for the semi-premium design and feel. And overall, I do think this is a great endeavor that GravaStar has branched off to with the Mercury K1, and most people out there will really enjoy it. Be sure to head over to Subnautics.com for a more in-depth written review of the GravaStar Mercury K1. Once again, I'm Alex from the Subnautics. I'll see you guys next time.